In this section, we'll talk about how assistive technology can support students in getting meaning from text. We will be talking about technologies that will be especially useful for students with learning disabilities. People read for a wide variety of reasons: personal enjoyment, supporting academic participation, in the workplace. As always, when we consider assistive technology, we want to work within a framework of setting specific goals for a specific student. So we'll want to think about the student performing a particular task in a particular learning environment and thinking about what tools can assist a student in making the desired progress. As we think about ways in which we can promote access to text and some of the technologies that are possibly of interest, we're going to think about them in the context of a particular individual. We're going to be learning about a 14-year-old boy who has a learning disability. He's very interested, like a lot of teenagers, in skateboarding and music. He participates in a wide variety of environments, so we need to think about the different types of reading that he would do in a variety of situations. As always, we are trying to position the student to be as independent as possible in coursework that is as rigorous as possible, so that we're keeping all options available for post-secondary work. Currently, though, this is an individual that needs ways to obtain meaning from print, from textbooks. We would hope that he would have an interest in reading for pleasure. Again, like many teenagers, he's going to need a way to get on the internet, and like many students, he's going to need a way to take notes and to read his notes. So, a variety of goals to think about as we identify various pieces of technology that might be of assistance. So during the outline the alternatives stage, we just brainstorm all the possibilities for an individual. And a few that quickly come to mind, and I'll talk about each of these in a little more detail in just a moment, include handheld devices, so electronic dictionaries. There are books on tape available for students that really struggle with reading. Over the past few years, we've seen a wide expansion of options with respect to digital texts. So there are texts that can be downloaded. There's software that helps us in creating digital texts from print text. There's also been an explosion of commercial products that help us in obtaining and making use of digital texts. We have also seen the development of textbooks that attempt to incorporate features of universal design for learning. We'll talk more about this later in this session. And there are also ways that we can create our own digital texts. And one of the reasons that we're so excited about digital text is as soon as a text is in digital form, it can be formulated and reformulated in a variety of ways, including, perhaps most importantly, it can be turned into speech. So the digital text can be read aloud, in a sense, through a speech synthesizer to provide support for those students who are really struggling with text that just exists in print form. So looking first at handheld devices for words, something that a number of students find to be useful in supporting their reading is a talking dictionary. So this is a small, inexpensive, highly portable device, not too much bigger than a scientific calculator. And what the student does is type in the word that they cannot read. The dictionary says it aloud for them, which sometimes helps the student in determining the word. The talking dictionary also provides a definition and will read the definition aloud. So one of the really nice things about this technology is it provides access to a huge number of vocabulary items, can be used across a variety of curriculum areas. Most students should be fairly independent in its use. I guess one of the questions or concerns might be the extent to which it helps to build student fluency. So if a student is reading 4 or 5 words, has to stop, enter a word, reads another 3 words, has to stop, enter a word, it can hurt fluency, it can hurt comprehension. So this would seem to be a good option if the student has a relatively small number of words that they cannot read in a text. It might prove difficult to use if a student is struggling with a lot of the words in a text. One option that used to be very popular was the creation of books on tape. So as texts were identified that were needed for a particular student, someone would read the text aloud and store that audio information on a tape. Again, the nice thing about this approach is it's relatively easy to create these materials. I guess sometimes there's questions about the long-term costs. So as a student moves into high school or post-secondary, there's a huge amount of reading material that's needed, and it can be very demanding to try and find the aides or volunteers or whomever to create those materials. There's also concerns about long-term independence. So if a student is reliant upon somebody always creating these books on tape, they're fairly limited in the reading materials for which they'll have access. And you also get into some challenging questions with respect to test taking. So the extent to which having the information read aloud by somebody else is providing an appropriate or inappropriate support for test taking. As I mentioned, within the past few years, there's been huge and exciting developments in the production of digital texts, and I'm just going to talk about 3 ways in which students can gain access to digital text. There's lots more than this, but I just thought we'd sort of focus on some of the most commonly seen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Bookshare. I'm going to talk a little bit about commercial scanning software that can convert text to print text to paper text to digital text, and I'm going to talk about some of the commercially available devices like the Kindle that support the use of digital text. The first option I'd like to talk about is Bookshare. Bookshare is a service that is free to individuals with a documented print disability, so individuals with a severe learning disability or individuals with a visual impairment can register with Bookshare, and it provides them with free access to digital texts. So if you or somebody at your school is working with a student with a print disability, Bookshare provides digital texts free of charge, and these digital texts can be read on personal computers. I provide additional information for Bookshare in the final slide of this presentation. I thought probably the best way to learn a little bit about Bookshare would be to watch a short videotape of a student who makes use of Bookshare. His name is Shane McKnight.
I'm Shane McKnight, I'm 14 years old, and welcome to Lava, New York. Rock on! I like to skateboard a lot, and I also I got my own band, but it's not that great yet. My plan for the future is just to be the best rock star and the best skateboarder ever. My favorite subject in school has to be English. I'm not really a good reader, and Bookshare reads for me. I read on the computer because if I read in the book, it gets me all cross-eyed because there's so many words. So I look on the computer, it helps me better. Alright, first click on Kurzweil 3000 icon. You wait for it to load for a little bit. And Code Talker, this is my book I'm reading. And then you just change the tempo, how fast you want it, how slow, and I'll go about average. And you just hit play.
Listen, my grandchildren, you asked me about this medal of mine.
Every time there's highlighted, I follow the words because there's like something happening. It's not just like a plain piece of paper with words. It's actually something moving, so it helps me focus more. If you come across a word you don't understand, just highlight it and ask a teacher or look it up in the dictionary, and then next time you read it, you'll understand it. in tests, I get like all nervous so I can't read. And this thing helps me out because it just calms you down because you can put it on like slow so it just reads the words for you.
I was only 6 years old and I was worried.
I think Bookshare has helped students approach their subjects differently because they are not only willing to read, they're reading at a faster pace, so that skill is increased. Their background knowledge is increasing because they're reading not only the books that are assigned, but they're choosing to read books about things they're interested in. Skateboarding, cars, wildlife. Whereas before, they never would have done that.
After I used Kurzweil, my grades went up from a 20 to an 80. Like before, like teachers read for it and they'd read too fast or too slow because kids can hear it faster or slower. And I'm like the type that's like in the middle, so I couldn't really understand them. And plus I was rushing to get it done. Some of the books I've been reading are Code Talker, With Every Drop of Blood, and Tom Sawyer. And like for With Every Drop of Blood, it's in social studies, and it's like Civil War novel. I want to read more books from Bookshare. Like the type I'd want to definitely read are skateboarding novels or anything, like biography of Tony Hawk or something, because I really want to listen to them because it'd be really cool to hear them on the Kurzweil. I think it's important for you to read because anything you're going to have to read, and anything you do, you be in the army, you want to be a firefighter, you want to be a cop, you want to be a rock star, skateboarder, you got to be able to read.
Again, just some of the exciting things about Bookshare. Thousands of downloadable books, free if the student has a registered print disability. Probably the only downside, so to speak, at this point is your student may have a particular interest or need a particular text that's not currently in the Bookshare library. However, they are interested in adding more information and more materials to their online library. So this is a resource that will only grow bigger over time. Another option for students with print disabilities is the use of specialized scanning software. So this is software that allows you as the teacher or somebody else to create digital texts from print materials. So if you have a particular paper book, so to speak, that you want to convert into a digital text, there's specialized scanning software that supports that process. Benefits of this: access to just about anything that's out there can be scanned and turned into a digital text. Downsides of this approach: their software does cost money, and it does take time to create these materials. But for specific specialized situations, there's some exciting things that can be done to create digital texts that enhance students' ability to take meaning from text.
What we're going to use in Kurzweil today is the highlighting function, and you're going to be highlighting the main idea of the paragraph.
We first became interested in Kurzweil when we were looking for really access to print for many of our learning disabled students.
It originally came into our district for special ed students, but I found a lot of success with the higher achieving students who they see the power of it.
I said the nomadic herders adapted the conditions of the desert.
Once we had Kurzweil here in Medfield, we began to explore and discovered all of the other features that are built into the product.
One of the features that I really enjoy about Kurzweil is the ability for it to assist me in being a more efficient teacher. I'm able to not just highlight, but now I can extract those highlights and pull the class to the next level. I'm printing out a copy of these column notes for everybody to have, so you have a copy of them. The makeup of my class is a heterogeneous classroom with students ranging from very high achieving to struggling students. There's students on individual education plans, on 504 plans in this classroom. There are students that will be recommended for honors classes, for middle and lower level classes. But regardless, I have them all here in this one classroom, and Kurzweil has done a very good job helping me to meet all the needs of them. It's been great at being able to reach that different profile of student. Some students like the visual, some kids really enjoy the listening, the audio piece.
The hijra. At first, few people listened to Muhammad.
The efficiency of material that I can get through is improved when I've set up my class using Kurzweil and I've integrated it with other technologies. So that's made me be able to get to more depth and to a higher level of understanding with my students. Second word was merciful.
Merciful.
Features such as the definition and the synonym and the highlighting and extracting the highlighting into column notes has been really successful for particularly the struggling students, but even the best students that naturally have those skills have found a lot of success because it helps them in their thinking, in their organization, in their writing, and also in their reading. And I've had students come in and say, Mr. Gudaitis, could I have a copy of those notes? Which has been a breath of fresh air. It was an unintended consequence and very unexpected, but I'm glad that it happened.
Teachers like Steve and others have taken this technology and run with it and created uses that we had never intended.
It's available for us in the computer lab and in the library. So students have after school and before school come in to do a little bit of additional work, either using the bubble note feature or the highlighting feature in preparation for a test or a quiz, or just to review the week's notes. For a lot of kids, I found that the brainstorm to the outline to the split screen column notes has been awesome. And it's really taken kids' writing to that next level. It's improved their organization and their ability to provide detail and build a really solid paragraph. So when they're over next year, over at the high school, they have a really solid understanding of what to write and how to write it.
We've had great success because we've been able to take this technology from the isolation of a special education setting and integrate it into the larger classroom.
It just shows that Kurzweil can really meet the needs of higher achieving students all the way to struggling learners.
Finally, just in the past few years, we've seen an explosion, there's no other word, for small portable digital reading devices. And it's interesting that this is when things really take off with respect to assistive technology or technology for people with disabilities, is when mainstream manufacturers realize that it's not just a small segment of the population that would benefit from a particular technology, but there's lots of people that would like to be able to have digital support for the reading of text. So as we see Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Apple Computers and everyone out there come up with new ways to store and share and present digital texts, I think we're going to see some really exciting things for the students with whom we work. Anyways, you may already have seen this, or you may already own one of these devices. For those of you that would like some more information, please click on the video clip and you'll see a brief demonstration of the Kindle.
Introducing the all-new Kindle Paperwhite, the best device for reading, period. Kindle Paperwhite takes the most advanced e-reader in the world and makes it better in every way. Sharper contrast for whiter whites and blacker blacks. A brighter display and next-generation built-in light for perfect reading any time of the day or night. A 25% faster processor for smooth, fast page turns and book opens. And the latest touchscreen technology for the most accurate, most responsive touch controls. all with the same great 8-week battery life and ultra-light 7.3-ounce design. Kindle Paperwhite also comes with exclusive new features like Page Flip, so you can skim through pages and chapters in your book without losing your place. Goodreads on Kindle puts the world's largest community of book lovers at your fingertips, making it easy to share recommendations, write reviews, and discover new authors. Smart Lookup gives you one-touch access to Paperwhite's built-in dictionary, X-ray, and Wikipedia, letting you discover not only definitions and character origins, but the meaning of entire phrases and concepts, all without leaving your book. And now, words that are looked up in the dictionary are automatically added to Vocabulary Builder, creating flashcards that let you expand your knowledge and reinforce retention. For children developing a love for reading, Kindle Free Time lets their parents manage the books they can access, view progress reports on their time spent reading, and award achievement badges. Kindle Paperwhite makes it easy to find the reading style that's right for you, with adjustable font sizes and styles. And with Time to Read, you'll always know how long you have left in your chapter or book. And when you do come to the end, you can shop millions of books, hundreds of thousands of exclusive titles, and the most popular newspapers and magazines direct from your device. To avoid hunting or paying for Wi-Fi hotspots, consider Kindle Paperwhite 3G instead. This 3G connection works in over 100 countries and is completely free. No plans, no contracts, no monthly fees. Kindle Paperwhite holds over 1,000 books, so you can keep your entire library at hand wherever you go. And with free cloud backup for all your Kindle books, you can download or delete anytime, worry-free. The all-new Kindle Paperwhite. It's the best device for reading, period.
Perhaps one of the most exciting developments has been the creation of textbooks that address principles of universal design for learning. So this means that authors have created digital texts in which the text can be used and manipulated in a variety of ways. So looking at this example from a science textbook, there are some simple things that students can do, so they can have the text made larger, made smaller, they can have the text read aloud. They also have control over things like the table of contents, so they can choose how they are going to navigate through the text and what types of headings and subheadings that they see. They can also click on words that are bolded and receive hypertext definitions for those vocabulary items. Sometimes there's also opportunities to view multimedia, so short video clips or audio clips to assist a student in understanding a term. So the interesting thing about this is that authors are trying to create textbooks that can be used by students at a variety of skill levels, and students would, on an individual basis, make use of those supports that are important to them. Okay, so we've looked at a number of options for a particular student, in this case Shane, and thought about what are some of the potential strengths and weaknesses of the different technologies. And again, our question is always, which of these technologies, either alone or in combination, can best help the student work towards their academic goals. With some of these technologies, particularly maybe the use of Bookshare on the computer, Shane is going to require some training in order to make optimal use of the technology. So helping him figure out what's the best rate at which the text should be read aloud, and what are some of the different capabilities of the software with respect to an online dictionary and having words that he doesn't understand defined. What are the different options there and how can he use them? But I think what's really exciting about the application of technologies like this for students like Shane are, number one, the increase we see in independence. So at one point he was dependent upon other people reading texts aloud, and now through that experience he's learned that there's particular speeds that work best for him, and also he's become practically completely independent in reading and studying texts. I think the other thing that's really exciting, and we'd certainly want to keep at least informal data on, is his enjoyment of reading. So for a kid that initially really struggled with reading texts, and probably it was very rarely something that he would independently choose to do, he's now a kid that's excited about reading, and that can only take us in a positive direction the more practice he gets, the more we would expect that he would become more fluent in reading, either with or without synthesized speech support. So again, not only are we seeing academic progress, but we're seeing a student enjoy the activity itself more. When we do see progress, especially progress as dramatic as Shane's, it's great to be able to share that good news, to encourage the student to think about the progress that they've made and how the time and effort that they've invested has led to real benefits. And it's also, exciting to think about ways of sharing that good news. Not everybody has to make a YouTube video, but if you choose to, think of that as a creative way to share information with parents. You certainly need permission. Other teachers and administrators, it's a way of really validating for the student that they've done something pretty important. Again, you don't necessarily need to get into that level of technology application, but just think about, are there other ways that you can let the student know what kind of progress they've made and share that good information with other people. As I mentioned, identifying and implementing appropriate assistive technologies for students with print disabilities is not the sole responsibility of the general education teacher by any means. There should be special education teachers within your school who've had experience with this technology. There should be assistive technology specialists with the intermediate unit who can assist you with this. I think the biggest major responsibility for the general education teacher is really to define as precisely as possible what is it that you want the student to be able to do, and it's the role of the special education teacher and the other assistive technology people to help identify what are the different options so that you can work together as a team to say what is the technology that will best help us move towards our desired goal. Some additional resources that are available and that I've listed here, I provided links for Bookshare.org and also for CAST, which is an organization that again has a lot of information on how digital texts can be used by students with disabilities. So just in closing, I did want to just end with our framework that we've been using and again talk about how at first assistive technology may seem overwhelming and the challenges of its use may seem pretty large. If we go through this process in a systematic step-by-step way, I think we can see that there's an excellent possibility that we'll identify tools that can help our students in participating in the general education curriculum.